君はいつだっていつだって変わらないでね私に何回も何回もシグナル送ってほしい
What's up, Cardfighters? Ryan here from Vanguard Central, bringing you guys a Limit Break Enabler Granblue deck profile. It's a really fun deck, and it's pretty strong in my opinion. I think that Granblue is going to be an up-and-coming thing, especially with their strides coming out. Really good stuff. So let's go ahead and get started with the grade 3s. We got 4 copies of Ice Flow Swordsman Night Snow. He's pretty much our boss of this deck, and his non-limit break skill is in the drop. If he's in the drop zone, it's Counterblast 2 and Soul Blast 2. If you have a grade 3 Vanguard, ride this card as stand. It's really good. It's basically lets you superior break ride from the drop zone if the break ride is on your Vanguard circle at the time. And his limit break skill is Counterblast 1, choose one of your rear guards and retire it. And you get to choose a card from your drop zone, call it to rear guard, and that unit gets plus 5,000. And there's a grade 1 in this deck that's really good. You want to combo with it. Becomes an 11k booster, and you can Soul Blast 1 and draw a card. Really good stuff. And then moving on, we got 4 copies of our break ride of the deck. Lord of the Seven Seas Night Mist. His limit break 4 skill, break ride. So when a Granblue rides this unit, you choose your Vanguard, gets plus 10,000, and you can choose up to 2 Granblue from your drop zone, call them to rear guard, and it doesn't have to be an open rear guard, and they both get plus 5,000. It's really good, but the only thing is they die at the end of the turn. But that's not a problem for Granblue because whenever it dies, it always comes back. Granblue is really good at that, and so especially if you want to combo it with Night Snow. Say if Night Snow's in the drop zone, you can go ahead and Counterblast 2, Soul Blast 2, and then Superior Break Ride. And so it's really good considering that you mill a lot in this deck, so you're bound to get Night Snow in here. And what's really good, say if you have Break Ride and you have Night Snow in your hand, you can just go ahead and use him as a stride fodder and set up for your next turn. Moving on to our grade 2s. We got 3 copies of Dragon Corrode Corrupt Dragon. His skill is really good. He's basically one of our beaters for the deck. It's when this unit is placed on rear guard from the drop zone. If you have a Granblue Vanguard, it gets plus 3,000 until end of turn. Oh, was it flips? I think we messed up here. Yeah, I'm sorry. We had 4 copies. One was stuck underneath. So 4 copies of Dragon Corrode Corrupt Dragon. My mistake, guys. And then we have 3 copies of 3-star Chef Pietro. He's basically a generic unflipper, so on Vanguard or rear guard, when this unit's attack hits a Vanguard, if you have a Granblue Vanguard, choose a card from your damage node and unflip it. This deck does Counterblast quite a bit because of the Counterblast 2, Soul Blast 2 for Night Snow. So you'd want to have an unflipper. Pretty good. And then we're running 2 copies of Greed Shade, and then 1 copy of Ruin Shade. We're taking in the Greed Shades because his skill, he's an AK, yeah, but on Vanguard or rear guard, if your hand size is greater than your opponent's, he gets plus 3,000 when he attacks. And then we also have Ruin Shade here, but we're probably going to take out the Greed Shades and get the Ruin Shades. We just don't have our hands on them right now, because Ruin Shade's skill is really good also. On Vanguard or rear guard, when this unit attacks, if you have Granblue Vanguard, you may put 2 cards from the top of your deck into your drop zone, so mill 2, and it gets plus 2,000, so it becomes an 11k hitter. It's really good, so you can actually have like a controlled milling. If you don't have enough in your drop zone or you're trying to get a card that you want, you go ahead and use Ruin Shade skill when it attacks. Really good stuff. And especially if you call it out with the Superior Break Ride combo, it becomes a 16k attacker. Really want to force cards out of your opponent's hand. And then we're taking in 1 copy of King Serpent. He's basically just an emergency unflipper, so when this unit is placed on rear guard from your drop zone, you Soul Charge 1 and unflip. So it fills the cost for Night Snows, just in case you're going to reuse that Superior Break Ride combo. And he also unflips the damage. And moving on to our grade 1s. We got 3 copies of Gus Jin, and then we have 1 Reef Banshee for our Quintet Wall. I don't have my hands on a 4th one. Like I said earlier, it's really Counterblast heavy. The Quintet Wall is just there for now to basically get some cards in our drop zone as like an emergency, so we can mill a lot quicker. And then of course 3 Perfect Guards because they're staples. And we're just waiting for a reprint because we've had only 1 PG since forever. Thanks, Bushy Road. And then we have 4 copies of what's the reason why this deck is being made. It's the Limit Break Enabler, and his name is Brutal Shade. So his skill, when your Vanguard's Limit Break is active even when you have 3 or less damage. So it's really good. especially like say if you're sitting on Night Snow, you can use the limit break to counterblast one, retire something else, and then superior call another thing. And then most especially for that amazing break ride combo, you can just do it at 2 damage and destroy your opponent's hand. And then we have 3 copies of Sea Strolling Banshee. This was the grade 1 I was talking about earlier. So when this unit is placed on rearguard from your drop zone, if you have a Granblue Vanguard, you may Soul Blast 1 and draw a card. So it's really good if you can also pull it off with Night Snow again, and then also with Night Mist. So you can either call this, get +5, so it becomes an 11k booster, as well as the skill of Soul Blasting another thing and unflipping. Really, really good. And then we have 2 copies of Samurai Spirit. We're running Samurai Spirit in here because just in case you don't have the extra booster, or you need just that, you know, extra push for your final turn kind of thing, he's there, helps you fix columns. Oh, his skill is to, when he's in the drop zone, you counterblast 1, choose one of your Granblue rearguards and retire it, and then if you have a Granblue Vanguard, call it to rearguard. And then we're taking in 1 copy of Rain Elemental Tier from the Generation Booster Set 2. His skill is when this unit is placed on rearguard, you may Soul Blast 2, and if you do, unflip your damage for each Crate Elemental you have face up in your G zone. So you don't really stride a lot in this deck because you want to go for Superior Break Ride, but he's kind of there for emergency. So you can also call him with the Break Ride skill and also with Night Snow, just in case. Even if you have the Soul for it. That's the big thing. But Soul isn't that much of a problem anymore because for our trigger lineup, we're running 8 crits. And I run 3 different arts just to trick my opponent to think I'm running like 10 crits or 12 crits. So I think that's funny. And then Rough Seas Banshee is a really good card. Her skill is on rearguard circle. Put this unit into your soul, and then if you have a Granblue Vanguard, you can draw a card. So it helps you fill the soul and also slightly filter your hand. And then we have 4 copies of Hades Steerman. So our stand trigger for the deck. This guy's also really amazing because he basically lets you pull off Ice Flow Swordsman Night Snow skill, kind of like for free. It just shortens the cost because his skill is in the drop zone. When your grade 3 Granblue unit is placed on Vanguard Circle, you may call this card to rearguard right behind it in the same column. So even if you don't have anything there, or say for example you have Rough Seas Banshee behind you from like the turn that you called before, you can go ahead and use his skill, retire the Rough Seas or ride, and then you kill the Rough Seas Banshee and call Hades Steerman right over him, and then you go ahead and counterblast 1, retire him, and then get the Rough Seas Banshee back, Soul Blast 1, and draw another card. Really, really consistent. And then of course 4 heals. Dr. Rogue, because she's pretty cool. And then our starter is going to be this super cool guy, Guiding Zombie. He's a Forerunner, and then his skill is to put this unit into your soul, and you mill the top 3 cards of your deck. Really, really good. It helps. You can do it basically on the first turn. It helps you get cards in your drop zone, what you really need. That's what Granblue's all about. And then moving on to our Stride units. Our Stride units are pretty much all Crate Elementals. You can mix it up however you want. You don't really want to be using their skills unless you want to get off like Snow Blizzard just so you can unflip 2 for the Crate Elemental, but it's not really worth it. It's kind of just in there just for GSs basically, and help you get cards. But anyways, that's pretty much the deck profile, guys. Like our videos, comment below if you guys have any questions, and subscribe if you guys want to see more. And again, we mentioned in our videos before, if you guys can just support us, subscribe to us, and also check out our Patreon. That's patreon.com/Vanguard Central. Anyways, guys, thanks for watching. Vanguard Central, out.